Hello, my name is Mark Smith and welcome to another Retro Core. In today's show we're going to be taking a look at the Sega Mega CD, and we've got a lot of games to look at and a lot of hardware to look at. So let's start off the show. The Sega Mega CD. The Mega CD, or Sega CD as it was called in the US, brought so much more to the Mega Drive than just CD storage. It boosted the Mega Drive's capabilities with 3D rotation effects that would make a Super Nintendo blush. It also added another CPU, running at 12.5 MHz, which is 5 MHz faster than the Mega Drive's processor. Add in the PCM digital audio and the ability to play CD graphic discs as well as audio CDs, and we have one very capable bit of kit. Sadly, most developers never really made use of the Mega CD's advanced hardware, and instead decided to release loads of crappy FMV games or Mega Drive ports with CD audio. The Mega CD came in many forms. Here we have the Granddaddy, complete with the sexy front-loading tray. This was later replaced with the cheaper Mega CD too. Then there was the Multi-Mega, also known as the CDX in some parts of the world, and even rebranded as the Education Gear by Linguaphone, and sold as some sort of audio language player. Of course, it'll still play Mega Drive and Mega CD games, but boy does this cost a lot of money. Next we have the Pioneer Laser Active, that uses modules to allow it to play Mega CD games as well as others. And here's another very obscure piece of Mega CD hardware. This is the Iowa Boombox, which comes with a Mega CD Mega Drive attachment on the bottom. Stick your cartridges into the bottom of the unit or your Mega CD games into the actual Boombox's CD player. Connect it to your TV and yep, you've got yourself a fully working Mega CD Mega Drive combo. Plus, a not too bad Boombox. Well, no, tell the truth, it's a pretty rubbish Boombox, but as a bit of obscurity these days, it's something else. Finally, there's the Wonder Mega. Here we have the Wonder Mega 2, also known as the JVC XI in the US. But the ultimate in sexiness when it comes to Mega CD has got to be the Japanese only original Wonder Mega. So let's take a closer look at the Wonder Mega. Now around the side of the machine you can see it has 3 DSP sound buttons. A game, X-Bass, karaoke, and of course off. These sound okay, but to be honest, you wouldn't really want to use them. Around the back of the system you've got quite a few different output options. You've got an extension for the modem, an RF out, S-video out, and composite video out. And even a MIDI out. That's right, you can connect your Wonder Mega to a MIDI keyboard. Around the front of the machine there's the 2 inputs for your joypads, and this strange sliding door. What could be behind that, I wonder? Well, your karaoke controls, of course. In here you got a volume control for your headphones, 2 mic inputs, complete with volume controls for them as well, and an echo control. The top of the Wonder Mega has a cartridge slot too, so you can put your Mega Drive games in, and as you can see they fit snugly. Okay, and let's take a look at the game packaging. So as you can see along the side we have the standard spine card, nothing new there. And of course in Japan they kept with the proper CD cases, none of these big stupid boxes that America used. Inside you get a full color printed CD, don't see many of those around these days, and of course a full color manual. Don't you just love the classic manuals from games? So much more colourful and, well, I kinda like the way they were designed. Now if you thought memory cards were a new thing, then you're actually quite wrong. The Mega CD does have some built-in memory storage inside it for game saves, but that soon fills up, so Sega brought out this Mega CD RAM cartridge. And as you can see the Japanese one looks just like a normal Japanese Mega Drive cartridge. Comes complete with some labels to put on your cartridge yourself, and a pretty thick instruction manual. I'm not sure why it's so thick, because it's pretty simple. You just plug this into the machine and save to it. So once your Mega CD backup RAM is plugged into your Wonder Mega, you can save all the data from your Wonder Mega's memory onto the cartridge and vice versa. Or you can keep it left in the machine and save directly to the RAM cartridge. Very handy for those RPGs. Now you're probably wondering how much space is on this RAM cartridge. Well, let's just say you're probably never gonna fill it up. The Sega Mega CD! So there you have it, a look at the Mega CD hardware. So now it's time to take a look at some of the games, and we're going to be using a JVC Wonder Mega to record the footage. Now unfortunately the JVC Wonder Mega doesn't have RGB video out, so the quality of the image is going to be slightly worse than what you normally would expect from RetroCore. But don't let that put you off, because we've still got loads of great games coming up. Many people think the Mega CD is just about FMV games. How wrong they are. Let's sit back and enjoy some games which are not FMV. Well, maybe there's going to be 1 or 2 FMV games in there, but the majority of them won't be. Night Striker on the Mega CD generally gets a lot of stick for being nothing more than a blocky mess. While that's true, it's actually a fairly faithful port of the title arcade game it's based upon. It even includes an all-new arranged soundtrack from Taito's legendary sound team Zuntata. The concept of Night Striker is fairly simple. You are out to rescue the loved ones, and in doing so, you need to blast everything in sight. The game actually has quite a lot of replay value too, thanks to the Darius-like stage selection. Personally, this is a guilty pleasure of mine. Give it a try, you may just fall for it too. Annett Futatabi, or Annett Again in English, is the third in the string of games which also includes El Viento and Ernest Evans. All games feature Annett and Ernest, and all but one is complete rubbish. Is this the good one in the series? Well, actually, this is probably the worst Japanese developed side-scrolling fighter ever made. The game is riddled with problems, be it from the poor collision detection, poor graphics, enemies that actually kill each other, oh wait, actually that's a good point, to some of the most underwhelming magic ever. In fact, at times the enemy won't even appear on the screen, making you need to waste the magic just to kill them. Oh, and then there's the boss fights. Talk about unfair. They can hit you even when you're down. This is Wolfchild from Core, a game which originally appeared on the Amiga, but then finally found its way onto the consoles, first with the Mega CD, then the Super Famicom or SNES, and the Mega Drive. If there had to be a definitive version, I think this Mega CD version would be it. It plays really well, and actually does look fairly good for its age. In fact, it's probably one of the better Amiga ports to be released on a console. One thing I really do like is if you collect certain power-ups, you can become the Wolfman. Or Wolfchild maybe. This gives you the ability to shoot off fireballs from your hands. Good stuff. And like so many other Mega CD games, Wolfchild has a kick-ass soundtrack. Now with the Mega Drive having millions of shooters on it, you'd expect the Mega CD to have millions too. Well, unfortunately not, and the shooters which are on it are not really stellar games. I mean, they're good, but they're not a patch on what you can get on the actual Mega Drive. One of the better shoot 'em ups on the system is this, Bari Arm by Human. As you can see, the graphics are pretty lush, with lots of good colours and many layers of parallax scrolling. I also like the design of the enemies and the fact that your ship can turn into a robot as well. Weapon wise, you got your typical affair of shooting blasts and missiles, plus you can power them up with a charge beam. Sadly, Bari Arm is missing a little something to make it really addictive, but in the short term, it is a pretty competent shooter.
Special.
At first, Fatal Fury Special looks arcade quality, but it soon becomes apparent it's actually kinda disappointing for the CD title, due to the massive amounts of stuff missing from it. That may be speech samples to parts of the stage and background detail. However, saying that, I still love Fatal Fury Special on the Mega CD. The graphics that are here shout out with their vibrant colours, which are beautifully done for the 16-bit system, plus I can play as Ryo from Art of Fighting without inputting any silly codes. Playability wise, Funcom, the developers of this port, have done an excellent job. The game plays so well, and if I'm to be honest, it's one of my favourite ports to play outside of the Neo Geo original. This is Flink by Liverpool, UK based Psygnosis. Flink's world has been covered by an evil cloud, turning everyone into a jerk, or at least that's what I think the story is. As you can see, Flink is a beautiful looking game, with so much detail you would swear the game was running on a 32-bit console. Actually, it originally was, since Flink was designed for the Amiga CD32, but was eventually ported to the Mega CD and a cut down version to the Mega Drive. Flink can kill enemies by stomping on their heads, or by throwing items at them, which he can pick up throughout the level. Flink is also quite a master of alchemy. Using items found in the levels, Flink can combine them to award him magic powers. Unfortunately for Flink, the magic pot is also linked to his health.
Work, everything okay?
Gillian,
What is it? What's wrong?
Jamie.
Starting off with a scene straight out of Blade Runner, along with a strikingly similar story, you know you're in for something special with Snatcher. Snatcher started off life on the PC 8801 and then made its way to the MSX2 home computer in Japan, before arriving on the PC Engine, Mega CD, Saturn and PlayStation. But do you know what's so sad? The Mega CD port is the only one that was ever officially made into English. Thank God Konami was serious about the voice acting quality when they made this version. As we all know, English voice acting in games back then was laughable at best. Pretty much like the commentary on this video. So what is Snatcher all about? Well, you play the role of Gillian Seed, a junker whose job it is to take out the Snatchers, robots that look like humans. Basically, it's Blade Runner. The dialogue used within the game is actually very well done, combining suspense, comedy, and an actual plot. Throughout Gillian's adventure, he'll be accompanied by a little robot helper known as Metal Gear. Yep, that's right, Metal Gear. Well, this game was produced by Hideo Kojima after all. Metal Gear will be your sidekick, as well as allowing you to call people, save your data and scan clues in order to solve mysteries. Snatcher is a game that everyone should play, and it just so happens that this is the only legal way you can play it in English.
Gillian, that means you. You better head out right away. Jean needs your help.
We must hurry. We'll use a turbocycle to travel to the scene.
Be careful, Gillian.
Batman Returns on the Mega CD is hailed as the ultimate killer game, especially by Western game players. I think technically that is a bit of overhyping going on right there. You see, the driving sections do look amazing. They really do use the Mega CD's hardware to its full potential. You got things rotating, things zooming up, you got everything on there. It just looks so good. But the thing is, the driving sections really do drag on and on and on. If they were a little bit shorter and had a little bit more variety to them, I think they would have been much better. So anyway, you probably think this game only features the driving sections, because that's the section most people only talk about, but the game also features all the platform sections from this oh so bad Mega Drive Batman Returns as well. Yes, those sections are all here in the Mega CD version, and nope, they have not been improved at all. Thankfully though, you can choose just to play the driving sections and have yourself one impressive looking driving game. So that's part 1 finished and done with. 8 great games and we got more to come, so I'm going to stop yapping and let's get on with more games. Dennin Aleste by Compile is one of the major games that most Mega CD owners talk about. What we have here is an amazing action-packed shooter with loads of variety in the stages and an awesome soundtrack. But you'd expect that coming from Compile. The only downside is the levels do tend to drag on quite a while. And you do find yourself in some sections with not a lot going on. However, at times like that, I just sit back and enjoy the lovely music. As you would expect in an Aleste game, the powered up system is quite similar to all the others. Collect the icon colour that represents the weapon you want, and then collect it a few more times to power it up. Not exactly an exciting system, but it works. Known in Japan as Battle Fantasy, this US release goes by the stupid name of Revengers of Vengeance. Yeah, okay, whatever. So what type of game do we have here? Well, it's kind of a unique game in that we have a one-on-one beat 'em up with tones of RPG gameplay, if you opt for the quest to destroy Venom mode that is. But first let's take a look at the normal versus mode. As you can see, the character sizes are respectable with animation that's not too bad. Playability wise, well, it's no Capcom fighter, that's for sure.
What was that? No! Why did he do this to my forest? You'll pay.
During the Quest to Destroy Venom mode, you travel around areas RPG style, visiting shops to buy better weapons, staying at inns and talking to NCPs. Then it's off to the main map to take out some thugs. Sega certainly were ambitious with this game. The presentation is top class for the Formula 1 game of its time. So much to customize, teams to sign up to, mechanics and managers to keep happy, and so on. There really is a lot to see and do. Then we come to the main game. Oh boy, I think Sega tried to bite off more than they could chew with this one. What we get is a game that tries to be like the arcade Super Monaco, but sadly fails in a big way. Roadside objects tend to appear out of nowhere, as do the opponent racers. All of this wouldn't be too bad if the controls were tight, but sadly they're not. You can spin out at the slightest bit of oversteer. As they used to say on Top Gear, ambitious but rubbish. Three Times Three Eyes by Sega follows the manga and the anime extremely closely. In fact, you could go as far as saying it's an interactive version of the actual anime. The game features all the original voice cast from the anime, as well as cutscenes to tell the story. These sections really do give the game a feel of being an interactive cartoon. The actual RPG sections, mind you, are quite similar to what you'd expect. Now, I played this game for quite some time and I never did actually come across any battles. Now, I'm sure there must be battles in this game somewhere because you have hit points and you level up. So surely you must be battling something in order to level up, or do you level up by collecting clues? I'm not sure. I would have liked to give this game some more time, but unfortunately time is limited. However, if you're into anime based RPG games, you can't go far wrong with picking up 3 Times 3 Eyes. Well, a bit of Japanese knowledge would help as well. Yet another Mega CD game that uses the hardware power to produce some beautiful cutscenes. In fact, this game is jam-packed full of them. It's probably best to think of this game as an interactive anime, with the action sections played out as a fairly fun and fast-paced platform game. There's not much in the way of power-ups, or options, or variety really in the gameplay, but what is here is fun, and surprisingly, it's enjoyable. Jaguar XJ220 comes to us from Core, one of the very few Western developers that actually made use of the Mega CD's extra power. This at the time was a sweet racing game with some kick-ass music. Just check it out. The game features a variety of game modes, but the highlight for me was, and still is, the custom track editor. This was quite versatile for its time, allowing you not only to build a course with hills and dips and roadside objects, but also save them to the Mega CD's internal memory or RAM cartridge. Just check out this beauty I made. Feace was one of the first games to be released on the Mega CD and came as a packing game in Europe and the US. In fact, the game is actually a port of the Sharp X68000 game. As you can see, the game looks pretty poor, as did the original, but hey, it does have a load of rotation effects. Amazingly, these are all powered by the Mega Drive, as the Mega Drive cartridge version is 100% identical to the CD version, besides the introduction of CD audio of course. Talking of which, this game has some of the best music you're gonna hear in a shooter on the Mega CD, but also some of the worst sound effects. Gameplay wise, there's not so much to Feace. You can collect various dull looking weapons, which can be added to the top or bottom arms of your ship, as well as the center section. So yes, you can pimp your ship up to shoot 3 different weapons at once. Well, at least it's got some originality. Starting off with the original movie's theme tells you that you're in for something special. Sadly, I'll have to talk over most of this video as the music contained within it seems to get a lot of copyright strikes. It's said that this is the real Terminator that Dave Perry wanted to make for the Mega Drive, but unfortunately the development time on the original was too short. Luckily for us, Dave got to develop what he originally intended the Mega Drive game to be, with this arcade action shooter. Said to be one of the best running gun games on the system with the greatest soundtrack. Maybe that's slightly overpraised, but then again, it still is a great game no matter which way you look at it. So another 8 games down, and I bet you think that's the end of this episode of RetroCore. Well, I'm afraid not, because the Mega CD actually has more games than you probably even knew. So let's take a look at even more Mega CD games in part 3 of this Mega CD special of RetroCore. Urusei Yatsura to me is what developers should have been making rather than the mountains of FMV rubbish. What we have here is a fully interactive point and click game powered by the Mega CD's hardware. One thing you'll notice is just how brisk everything is. There's no waiting around for the game to load, unlike many other CD based games. Everything just flows so well. Another thing I really like about this game is just how clean the audio is. You're probably thinking it's CD streamed, but in actual fact, it's all coming from the Mega CD's PCM audio chip. Besides the technical wonders that this game pulls off, it's also a great game in its own right. Yeah, you will need to understand Japanese to get the most out of it, but any fan of anime comedy would probably appreciate this title. Searching around the house is always going to give you some little bonuses, including game cartridges, which you can play on the game console found in the living room. Yeah, these games are a little basic, but still a little addition to the overall package. In fact, if there was one thing I did have to complain about with this game, it's probably going to be the actual length of it. I can finish it in a couple of hours. Not too long for an RPG, unfortunately. This is Mickey Mania coming to us from Traveller's Tales. Yes, the company that made Sonic R and unfortunately now only make Lego games. Well, yeah, the Lego games are pretty good, but you know, they're all the same, so you played one, you've played them all, really. But anyway, let's talk about Mickey Mania. It's said that the Mega CD version is the definitive version. Actually, a lot of people seem to think that the Mega Drive version is better than the Super Nintendo version, since levels such as this rotating staircase aren't even featured in the Super Nintendo game. This Mega CD version is basically like the Mega Drive version, but now features a lovely CD soundtrack and a lot more speech from Mickey himself. Being a Traveller's Tales game, you can expect nothing but the best. There's loads of really fancy graphical effects in this game, and the playability, while sometimes being a little bit slippery, is actually fairly good. In fact, this is probably one of the better Mickey Mouse games out there. It's time for another Mega CD game from Core, and yet again they're showing that the Mega CD can do more than just cartridge conversions. In Soul Star, the idea of the game is quite simple: fly through space and blow the crap out of everything. In fact, some people may think this is kinda like a Galaxy Force ripoff, but to be honest it doesn't really play much like Galaxy Force. True, you do have the space sections, and then you zoom into the, well, not a planet in this case, into the mother base, and you take out whatever's in the mother base, kind of like Galaxy Force, but it doesn't play anything like it. If you wanted the game to show off your Mega CD's ability, then this is a game you certainly should be considering. Road Blaster, or Road Adventure, or Road Blasters FX, whatever name you want to give it, is a Data East arcade port by Wolf Team. Said to be the best FMV game ever made to give you the illusion of control, and I have to agree. Road Blasters is one of the many FMV games on the Mega CD, but unlike most of them, this one actually does give you the illusion of control. Yes, you're not actually controlling anything, you're just pressing left and right, brake and accelerate when the commands come on the screen. But the way the input actually follows the action on the screen makes you think you are actually controlling it. There are times when you really do think, oh, I'm in control. Road Blasters is one of my personal favourites, and if you've never played it, I really do recommend you check it out. You can also get it on the Sega Saturn, the PlayStation, and wow, so many other machines as well. Here's Popful Mail from Falcom, another one of the Mega CD's elite games. What we have here is an action platform RPG. Well, mostly action platform with RPG elements thrown in. The game also features an awful lot of lovely looking cutscenes, which, while boxed, do actually look quite impressive.
Nature don't stand a chance! Give it up!
This is the English translation version you're looking at here from Working Designs, and as usual they've kind of messed around with the gameplay, making it a little bit harder, but overall they've done a pretty good job. The street talk is kinda left to a minimum in this version. Sadly, this game goes for the premium price these days, but if you do happen to find it, I seriously would recommend picking it up. It's a lot of fun and it will give you many hours of enjoyment. Batman and Robin is a pretty sad attempt of cashing in on the success of Batman Returns. Basically all they've done is taken the driving sections from that game and made them look cartoony and actually play a little bit worse in my opinion. Still, the game does have some pretty good FMV footage for the Mega CD game.
Early grave.
Wolf Team made many games for the Mega CD and Devistator is yet another one of their entries. As you'd expect with it being a Wolf Team game, it does kinda look a little bit cheap and is not going to appeal to everyone. In fact, most Wolf Team games when you first play them don't really give you a sense of enjoyment. But the more you do play them, the more you seem to get into them, and Devistator is definitely one of those games. Devistator is actually based upon an anime, and of course you're going to get loads of cutscenes in between each level. Levels themselves are fairly decent in length. Sometimes they can be maze-like and sometimes they can be quite linear. And sometimes you can have a side-on shooter. These are my favourite sections. The way you power up in Devistator is also quite interesting. There's only one set of icons, but each time you hit it, the actual value of it will change. This gives the game a little bit more variety when collecting power-ups, but sometimes can be quite annoying because you'll end up getting hit in the process. While Devistator is not the best game in the world, it's certainly one that will grow on you. Definitely worth checking out.
あんたはやりすぎた。街は今まで通り俺たちマッドギアの好きにさせてもらうぜ。これ以上警察を介入させるならジェシカの命はないと思います。ファイナルファイト!
Now there's a few ways you can play Final Fight, but if you want to play the elitist version of Final Fight, you want to play it on the Mega CD. Yes, this version is preferable to the one that was on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Sure, the graphics have less colour than the arcade version, and the animation may not be as good, but just look at how good it is for a 16-bit system. And to rub Super Nintendo fans' noses in it, it features up to 6 characters on screen at once, 2-player simultaneous action, and all the arcade stages. Yes, this is the ultimate way to play Final Fight. Oh, and let's not forget the soundtrack. A lot of people think Lunar started life on the PlayStation, but how little do they know. Lunar originally started life on the Mega CD, then the Sega Saturn and PlayStation, and then the Sega Saturn with an MPEG version. This Mega CD original though is actually a little different than the later versions which were released on 32-bit platforms. The FMV intro from the 32-bit versions is not present in this one, but it does have its own unique intro with a pretty cool opening song, which you may just get to hear later on. For an RPG of its time, it doesn't look too bad. In fact, for the Mega CD RPG, it looks quite nice. Loading is kept to a minimum, and the random battles are not too painful. In fact, you can just stick everything on AI and just let the computer take care of the battles. Usually it does a pretty good job as well. Of course, Lunar was released in English, again by Working Designs, but does cost quite a pretty penny. And finally, we come to the end of this Mega CD special of Retro Core. So what did you think? Did the Mega CD have more games than you expected? Did it have more quality games than you expected? In fact, are you surprised that all the games were not FMV games? Which is pretty much what the Mega CD was all about. Well, the Sega CD I should say, because most of them did come from the States, where the Mega CD is called the Sega CD. Don't know why, Mega sounds better. But anyway, each to their own I guess. So yeah, if you like the system now, and you always thought it was a complete and utter joke, well, that's good. If you still think the Mega CD is a joke, well, maybe you should actually try some of these games out, and you may change your mind. Who knows? Anyway, what's important is that you enjoy your games and keep on gaming.